has the thing in her to multitask. Family always first, but best at work. She's compassionate, maintains integrity everywhere around. She's strong and soft by nature. We have all heard this a lot, and I'm not sure if every woman hearing this actually feels happy, or do some feel pressurized also. So let's hear it from two ladies here with us, what it is about, or how it looks like pursuing dreams. So let's talk womanhood. Let's see what it takes to initiate first step towards entrepreneurship and dreams. Today we have with us Tauheeda Azad, the co-founder of Mayfair and Caviar Hospitality, a mother with her budding passion in podcasting and speaking. Her Instagram profile is a lovely place to visit, which shouts out insights into the lives of some eminent personalities and ensuring the listeners run straight to her podcast like how I did. We are highly enlightened to have you with us, Tauheeda.
Oh, thank you so much. That's such a warm welcome. I'm absolutely flattered. Thank you so much.
Okay. So we also have with us Tazleena V, a published author of a science fiction novel titled Newland, who has received Reader's Choice Award in 2017 in the science fiction category, available in Amazon. With her passion for poetry and fiction, and with her good number of years of experience in being chief editor, and with her interest in food blogging, would definitely be a pool of experience, and we are highly excited. Welcome both of you to a small talk section by MS Accounting and Tax Consultancy.
Thank you so much, Nabila. Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for saying that. So myself, I'm Nabila Banu, a chartered accountant. I'm the team lead at MS Accounting and Tax Consultancy, right now hosting a short conversation with two ladies as we celebrate Women's Week in MSATC. So
I hope we can keep this short.
yeah, I really wish. It doesn't seem so, but I really wish. Okay. So now that we know our listeners and me a bit, I think we can straight and dive into knowing what it is being a woman, or how it is for both of you. So I think I'll straight away shoot the question. Are you both ready?
Okay.
Okay. So Tauheeda, popularly known as Tauheed in her podcast, when did you actually discover your love for speaking? And when I come to Tazleena, what was it that opened up that writer in you? Us supporting entrepreneurs, we just love hearing of stories of beginnings, and that's where our passion lies. So I want to hear your beginnings. So we'll start with Tauheeda.
Okay. So you were asking me where I first realized that my passion for speaking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't think it was an epiphany moment or anything. I've always been a speaker. In fact, I always loved speaking. If anything, I had my friends and family around me telling me to, lie low and probably not speak as much. So this is something that, eventually led to what I'm doing today. I've tried a lot of other things in between, tried deviating from my track, but alhamdulillah, finally, I found peace at what I'm doing.
Okay,
And
that's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, please continue. So that's how you began.
Yeah. See, so that's who I am. Like, I'm just a speaker. I just love speaking.
There was no beginning.
Yeah. There was no beginning. There's no moment as such that I realized, okay, I'm a speaker. I have to do this.
Okay, nice. Let's hear it from Tazleena.
Yeah, I would say it's like a similar thing that Tauheeda also said. There was no moment as such, but I've always had this in me. I've always been in love with the written word, and I've always been in love with reading and writing. I used to be a voracious reader when I was small. I say used to because nowadays I don't get much time to do. Okay. And so I used to write poems and articles and stuff back in school also. But somewhere in grade 11 and 12, because everybody was doing engineering and medicine and all, I had this dream of becoming a journalist. But then I got deviated. So I went and did engineering. But then again, I realized after my marriage and after having my first kid, I realized that no, I want to get back to writing. So
Okay.
I went into my journalism through a short.
Okay, that's really nice. So you
That's
went back to your
amazing.
passion
Yeah, I went back to my passion
after having a child.
after having a child.
That's lovely.
I was just idle for some time because I just had my child. So I
Mm-hmm.
took the time to learn this
Okay.
creative writing.
Mm-hmm. That's really nice. So, being in a professional field and in my field, I get a lot of questions. How did you start doing this, or what was your plan 5 years back? Did you think you will do this? And, regarding choices, how you make and things like that. So, I really want to know from both of you, how are the choices that you make? Is it because of some sequence of events that happened in your life, or was it like, fully planned strategies? And you've already had a plan for yourself, and now do you have for the next 10 years? So I am basically not that. I am the person lives in the moment, and at the moment what I can do, I would do it, but not 5 years later. So how is it for both of you?
So, I'll go first. Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure.
Okay, so since you asked this, so like I said, I grew up always loving to speak, and that's something that
Hmm.
I've always been like that. That's a part of me, right?
Yeah.
So when I first moved to Dubai, and I didn't know, I mean, like obviously this is not something that I can take forward as a profession. Obviously, at least at that point in time, at the risk of sounding ancient, we didn't have this radio or anchoring as huge as it is today back then. So when I first moved to Dubai is when I first started listening in 2004 is when I started listening to radio, and that was so that was the first time I was exposed to that kind of fun radio initially, and I was very intrigued with this, and that was something that I would have loved to pursue. But because you also have that anonymity, you're not out there, you just have your voice doing all the talking, so you're doing what you like, plus you're not out there for everyone to see as well. So
Yes.
I really wanted to get into radio. I think I've mentioned this in a couple of my podcasts as well.
Okay.
I tried, but very unfortunately, they kept rejecting me, saying, "Okay, you need a media degree, you need a media master's," and
Hmm.
so and then when I started and when I wanted to get into my media management course that I was looking at is when I first had my baby.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, maybe then I stalled it. And then
Hmm.
I had then motherhood took over. I had more kids. So it took a while to get there. And then at this age, at this point in time, I have no intention of going back to college. I don't know if it's
Okay.
just me. So I thought, okay, maybe, this is something I can pursue this. I can do it at my own leisure.
Hmm.
I can enjoy what I'm doing. I can speak to
Yes,
the people I
exactly.
want to, rather
Hmm.
than take the risk of talking to someone who's
Yeah.
going to call.
Yeah.
So that way, I think it's just sequential what happened. I tried
Hmm.
working in between. I worked in a bank for a bit,
Hmm.
and I hated my job. Like respect to all those who are working there, but that's just not me, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I didn't like my job at all.
Hmm.
I enjoyed my the being with my colleagues, having
Hmm.
fun with them, talking to them. That's obviously that was what I was looking forward to when I was going to work. So,
Hmm.
and I left the job when I wanted to pursue my master's in media, and then everything just rolled over. And Alhamdulillah, here this is where I am today. It was not a planned decision,
Okay.
it was sequential. It got me here, and I'm very
Hmm.
glad it has happened the way it has now.
Yeah,
Alhamdulillah.
that's lovely. That's lovely. What about you, Taslina?
Yeah, I'm not a planned person at all.
Okay, we are
And
all in the same boat, I guess.
Yeah. And also, it's like there's a limit to how much you can plan and how much actually pans out, right?
Yeah, okay. Hmm.
but it's funny because for some people I've seen that everything goes according to their
Yeah,
plans, and I'm
exactly.
amazed at
That's an absolute. I salute those people, who've got such sketched out plans and works on them.
Yeah,
yeah,
but I
exactly.
guess we find men, they have this more plans. And is it because we are afraid to make a lot of plans because we might be anticipating some break that's required, like parenting requires some break. So is it because of that we end up not having too much of plans for this, or is it like it's just human thing of yours? What it is like for you?
I think that is it's a good point. Yeah,
Yeah.
it does influence us, because
Mm-hmm.
we have to take breaks, and especially
Mm-hmm.
before. I think now people are,
Yeah.
when to their careers and all, they are managing everything more than before,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a
Mm-hmm.
good thing.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Okay. So another one instance regarding when I think about when I started my course to study chartered accountancy is I had a lot of conversation with people. because I'm this person who wants everybody's opinion and see what all varieties of people are there, because when it comes to chartered accountancy we find a little lesser people. Population is not very daring. So what happens is there are less people doing it, and everybody has different story to tell. And what I ended up doing is have a lot of conversation with lot of people, and lots of opinions came in, and that was a raw stage of me, just out of college. So I just took it as it came. But then I realized there is one point when we can have a conversation, and then stop taking the opinions when that's not relevant to you. So that was a learning process for me. So how important is conversations for you? Because for me it's very important. I have a lot of conversation with a lot of people before I take any decision, though I accept it or not, or though I like their opinions or not, but I have conversations. So how is it for both of you?
For me, doing what I do, conversation is everything.
Yeah,
And I'm a
that's
good
your
listener. That's me. And I kept saying I'm a speaker, but I'm a very good listener as well. I listen to my husband, like you, Nabila. He's a chartered accountant. He used to tell me, like, he got into chartered accountancy because that was the only option, and everything else was closing down on him.
Okay.
And but for me, I'm a good listener. I listen to a lot of people. I like to listen to them. Sometimes I laugh. Okay, maybe that did sound ridiculous, but every now and then you do get good advices, right?
Yes, exactly.
And it's up to you if you want to take it or not.
Yes.
And if you are able to differentiate between what is good for you and what is going to harm you, I think why not listen? Like, if someone has something nice to say, you never know how beneficial it could be to you. Like, I'm all up for listening and filtering what I want.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly what I have to say too. I also enjoy conversations a lot. I like meeting new people. I like talking to them because especially when they're from different cultures, other cultures, it's nice to know their their tastes and their histories. I love histories and stuff. So it's nice to talk. And then, but come to the opinions point of view, there are, people are like, that's something that people give free of cost.
That's free. Yeah,
I think, if anything, you're inundated with all these ideas. Like I said, you have to be able to filter it right.
Exactly. But there are no wisdom in all this. So we have to take out the good ones from that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There is value addition in every opinion, though you accept it or not. I get something or the other we get to hear. Yeah. So coming to the big question, UAE is a land that we all know where the world actually meets, and we have a variant and vibrant population here, and people do great things. And there's definitely competition. There's definitely a lot of people doing the right things in the right way. And you being in the field of writing, that's where we caught you today. And Tauhi being a person going for podcasting and conversations and something which is very interesting. How do UAE influence you in your work? How is UAE contributing to your work?
First of all, I've been to quite a few countries, and I find UAE to be one of the safest countries in the world.
Yes.
So,
professional women actually love you.
Yeah, I love how UAE supports its women.
Yeah.
So exactly. I know that in whatever field I'm in Dubai, I will be supported, and that confidence is there in the UAE. So regarding my field of work, I find it, it's a good thing that in the past 5 years, there's been a lot of progress in the UAE in the field of media and entertainment and writing and, creativity as such. Because we find places like Al Circle Avenue and Youth Hub, where we can go and hang out and, do our stuff. So UAE is growing in that area, and which is a very nice thing.
What about you, Tavi?
Oh, for me, I think being in UAE is everything for such a fertile ground, like we say, for every dream to actually materialize. Yeah, to flourish. For me, someone like me, I would have I would have done it eventually, but I wouldn't have imagined doing it now. Something like a podcast, going back to my home and doing it. It's going to be a challenge. But over here,
Yeah.
the kind of infrastructure, the kind of exposure, the kind of people you have, like you said, it's a melting pot of all cultures. So the kind of people that you're dealing with on an everyday basis, you learn so much. Every day is a learning curve. And I'm an advocate for UAE. I just love this place. If they give me a citizenship today, and I am first in that queue, lining up to get it.
The first person. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how much I love this country. And Alhamdulillah, it has helped us prosper. For us, like for our entrepreneurial venture, plus my podcast, everything, Alhamdulillah, I have to say is because we are in this beautiful, beautiful country. And more so when we see what's happening back home, we, tend to sway towards UAE even more. Like, please take us.
But I must say, when I started writing, this was not the case because UAE was just, there were very few opportunities in writing as such. But then I've seen tremendous growth. So right now I'm very happy.
Because you were observing that field, you can definitely track the growth.
Yeah.
Yes, that's nice. So what would be your number one advice to budding entrepreneurs or people who are wanting to dream or innovate new things? What is your advice?
I'd say never give up. Be consistent with what you do. It helps to have this goal, to see yourself in future. Okay, I'm going to be this. Once you've made up your mind, yes, this is what I want to do. Just wake up in the morning and think that, okay, this is where I want to be, and work towards it consistently. Do not give up, because there's going to be failures for sure, but they are all going to help you in some way or the other. So that's my number one main advice to you.
Exactly.
What about that?
Yeah, if you have a dream and if you have something that is out of the box, definitely you should give it a shot, because after many years, you don't want to be in a situation where you look back and say, oh my God, you don't want to regret not having tried, right? So that is very important. If you have an idea and if you're not sure about it, consult with a few people that you are close to, who's going to wish you well, and then work towards it, because even if it doesn't work, it's okay. But at least you have tried. And the actual attempt of having tried is worse than having not tried. You don't want that regret.
Exactly. That contentment, at least you can take back
to
home.
know that you have tried rather than the regret that you didn't. So that is everything. Yeah, I mean, the goal is there. You get there eventually, or no, as long as you've tried.
Great.
I had something that I would like to ask Tasleen, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
So I want to know, Tasleen, I mean, like you said, you make sure that your kids are taken care of, and then you go back to your writing, right? So recently I was talking to another author, and I really want to understand, because what we normally hear or normally read is that, when you're writing, when you're an author, you have to get into this cocoon, you have to get into the shell of imagination, because you're lost in those characters and that book, right? In that space. So how is it that you're able to come like, I know how it is, parenting. I have 3 kids. You come and you sort of fight and then you go back. So do you lose the moment or that spur that story could have had?
As a writer, I'm working in a firm as a writer. I was working. I just picked up my job. So while working in a firm, it's fine because I'm working in an office. So I take care, make sure that I give priority to my house and my kids. My company also allowed me to do that because the work is like that, right? So because that was taken care of, I could concentrate completely on my writing in the office. But for writing especially, you need to have a lot of peace of mind. So when from home, that was a challenging time for me. And even when I was writing my first book back then, I used to write at night, late at night.
Oh, okay.
Everybody's all kids, my kid was asleep. So even for my future book, inshallah, I plan to write one this year. That's going to be the way I'm going to write when my kids have fallen asleep.
Okay.
So do you have the whole story in your head before you start writing a book? Or does it develop along the way?
No. As I said, I'm not a planned person at all, even when it comes to writing. I just have this thread. I need to have a complete thread though. I need to have the ending, the beginning, the middle, and the ending sorted out. And then I just start. Then
join the dots.
I let my characters lead the way for a while.
That's nice. It's really nice to interact with the author, published author, their way of doing things. Connecting dots, it feels simpler now. When we see the book, we feel very complicated. So I'm very passionate about writing, and I get only little time to write. And I've just started my Instagram page, and Taslina would know that, just little. So that gives me hope. Thank you so much.
So I used to love writing, but for me, I have this writer's block every now and then.
Yeah.
So if once that block settles in, it takes a while to leave.
Okay.
So and then it's crazy, but if I go back to writing, and that's something I'm very passionate about, like just being able to express, to be able to vent out. I mean that's everything, right?
Writer's block happens to everyone, and even for me, there are days when I have this block, and but I try to keep writing at that time. Maybe I don't produce quality work in that.
Yeah. Not giving
So
up.
that's exactly this recent author that I was talking to, that's going to be on my podcast. She was telling me, even when you're on that block, you just keep writing and save it in a folder. You never know when you can take it back and put it in somewhere.
Some inspiration.
Yeah. She was a lovely lady. She's got many books. Yeah.
Okay. So recently one incident happened. One of my mentor back in Bangalore, he one day texted me and told me, like, there is this one girl who called me from UAE. She actually found him in Facebook and asking him for help to study chartered accountancy, basically. So he requested me to call her because she's here in UAE and just check with her what is the problem. So definitely my mentor is saying. So I called. So what happened was, during the conversation, she told me a lot of troubles that she's facing. She's having a daughter, so she's not able to find time for concentrated study, and revision is not possible. All of that, and I am in this pep talk mode, and I'm giving her all the lectures, and she's getting happy. And finally, she said something. She said she's living with her family, a husband and daughter, and her husband doesn't want her to study. So her husband is not supporting her. Family back in India, they are not supporting for studying. So then I had that sinking moment when I really the pep talk actually in reality it went down, because I have not faced that personally. So I don't know, or it's a really hard phase to have yourself to study 12 to 18 hours continuously, and I know the importance of having the support system. But maybe it's not the same with others. Some are self-made people. They don't have to think about what it is others have to say, or what kind of support they get. They're just determined. And when this girl told this part, though I did not give up on my pep talk, because that's what is supposed to do.
That was the purpose of the call.
The purpose of the call. I shouldn't forget that. So I did that, but I really sank it. So I wanted to know how important is the support system for both of you, like, family supporting or others supporting. Is it very important, or are you self-made people? Like, it's okay. Whatever the trouble comes, I will hold on to it kind of person. Because both being in a creative field, I really wanted to know, how much effort it takes, and the support, what difference can it make to you? We'll start with Tawhi.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, doing what I'm doing, like my podcast, I'm a very tech challenged person. Let me be very honest with that. I'm not very tech savvy. I don't know the first thing about going online and doing all this. So I definitely needed a lot of support. I just, like I said, my USP was I could speak, I could listen. But beyond that, I needed a lot of support. And of course, my husband, I have to appreciate, with Women's Day, like this talk is for Women's Day, we have to be able to appreciate the men in our lives, definitely.
Yes, exactly.
And my husband is my staunch challenged guy. So, and then I had my nephews by marriage. So they were the people who actually, brought me into this, who guided me through step by step. And then we found a lovely guy, an editor. So for me, without these people around me, without my husband, my nephews, my editor, I wouldn't have been able to do any of this. So for me, I needed all that support. Going forward, maybe I would be able to do this myself, but to get that initial push, to people, for people to guide you. I empathize with your friend. I'm very sorry for her.
Yes.
And it's very, especially because she's a mother, and I know how complicated, complex accountancy is. My husband is one. So I empathize with her, but it means a lot to have that support. You can do things on your own. You are independent. You are a powerful person in yourself.
Yes.
But having that kind of support system eases the way. It gives you a lot of flexibility to fall back on, to take a break.
Yeah.
You may be goal driven, of course, but to have this kind of support, always cushions your path towards your goal.
Yes, exactly.
And for me, definitely, I couldn't have done this without my tribe of men. But and I know people who do it, so and I salute them.
Yeah,
But
more power to them.
Yeah, more power to them. But this is just my story,
Yes,
my
exactly.
version of my podcast.
Yeah, we are here to hear your story. Yes, Fazlina.
Yeah. See, I agree with what he said, definitely. But I feel that everybody is not blessed to have a support system.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's good, that people are able to move on without a support system as well. For me personally, I wouldn't say that I've had too much support regarding this, regarding my passion, because I'm an engineer, right? So
Yeah.
everybody has forced me to. My parents have always forced me to find a job in that field. So somehow this writing was never given much importance. That was just a side hustle kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
My passion for it was never deeply understood.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
after I wrote my book, I took the pain to write my book, that people actually came out in support for me. And after that, of course, I've had a lot of it, and that has helped me immensely. I agree. My family and my friends, without them, I wouldn't have published my book, because I always had this doubt that it's not good, it's not up to the mark. So they were able to erase that. But everyone has their story, and I feel
Yeah, exactly.
even without a support system, if you have the passion for it, then you can just do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But
That's
yeah,
the
it takes time.
variety that we wanted to hear.
It takes more time, and it takes more, maybe, there are hardships, more hardships. It's just a part
But
of
it's
life.
possible. It is possible.
Yeah, it's possible. If you
Yeah.
set your heart towards it, it will work eventually. Things, the universe will conspire towards making it
Yeah,
work.
that's exactly.
Somehow, if
That's
that's
right.
in your heart, yeah. If it's meant for you, it will come to you.
Yeah. So regarding entrepreneurship, like Tauhi, I think can add to this, being a co-founder of Mayfair and KV
Yeah.
Hospitality and things. How is that mode of you, that entrepreneurship mode of you, and how do you think your business and things that places in that's rightly placed in UAE? How does that help you?
Yeah, so going back to saying, how much I love this country.
Okay.
So when we first wanted to start this, my husband has always been a restaurateur and back in India as well. And so he wanted to do something over here. And one of his friends who was based in Qatar, one of his close friends, being based in Qatar, I don't know if I'm supposed to take names of countries, but they're booming as well in their own way. But he was also very clear, no, if anything has to work, it has to be in UAE. And touchwood, alhamdulillah, we launched, we took a franchise to be safe. We didn't want to, start our own brand. We took a franchise. We own and run Absolute Barbecues in Dubai. We have 2 branches. We have, and then we have our own homegrown brand as well. Alhamdulillah, like very, very proudly we can say we are doing the way we are. I'm like, alhamdulillah, touchwood. I'm like not exceedingly well, but we're doing well because I think we have such a diverse crowd and such a huge population, a dense population who like eating out. And and that's why we're very happy, because it's in Dubai. And like, let me be very honest, we haven't even brought it to Abu Dhabi because we know how the culture differs. Like it's very different. Even if it's just a 1-hour drive, the tendency to go out and have that kind of life is amazing in Dubai. So again, being Dubai, UAE being so supportive and so conducive for new ventures, new startups, I think.
That's right.
Yeah, COVID did hamper all of us in different ways. We also took a hit, but slowly, I mean, like no other country probably has bounced back the way UAE has.
Exactly.
Inshallah.
Sure. So, coming to the elephant in the room, we hear a lot about multitasking, but I would definitely say, now things are a little bit easy for women. People don't find multitasking as a compulsion for women. How good are you at it, and do you get pressurized with that glory that's given to us? Does that pressurize you? Doesn't. Taslina is very clear. No.
No, it doesn't pressurize me. Like I would revel in it. I think as women, we are biologically wired in such a way that we can multitask, right?
We can.
Yeah. Every time my husband sees me do something, he's like, oh my God, I can't do all of it together. If I just leave the kids with him for a couple of days, I think he's lost, and I get more calls than I would have done otherwise, right? So I think I revel in all that tension. I think women have since the longest time been doing this, but now because there is so the advent of social media, the advent of all the spotlight, the torch is being shown at us now. There is so much more not glorification, but acceptance or acknowledgement of the fact that there is so much happening with women, and it has been so silent all along. So also, but I would, like I said, I would take this opportunity to thank all the men in my life, at least, alhamdulillah, and the men in our lives who have been very supportive and who have acknowledged and join along in celebrating womanhood.
Okay. Yeah. So I have a specific question to Tauhi. So I've been hearing your podcast since while. So
thank you.
It's it's a very enriching experience, and I'm sure anybody who pops in there would definitely feel that. So I've one question I had, when I watched your podcast, you have really managed to bring in some eminent personalities, and it was lovely to hear from Khadija Rahman and Anirudh and all, because we watch Filter Copy so lovingly, and to hear about him, it was lovely. So, do you dwell in future? Do you think how this is going to move, or will you be able to keep entertaining? For now, I would certify that it's super entertaining, and
so
things that we really want to know about personalities who that's not the way they speak outside. So that makes a difference. So, how do you think in future you can continue doing your this idea or innovation? And have you made a plan for it? And have you already thought about who all can come in and give this kind of insight? Because yours is not any other interview. You're not speaking about big things. We're speaking about small things in great details, and it's lovely. So, do you dwell in future? What is it for you?
See, when I started podcasting, that was my intention as well. Because I'm like a Bollywood buff. I love Coffee with Karan, and every time I listen to podcasts,
that's why rapid fire, I think.
Yeah. So because that's why because otherwise when you listen to podcasts, it's mostly very motivational, like barring a few, which is lots of fun. And I was very clear that is what I wanted from my podcast initially, because while we in the market, while we were marketing our ventures in Dubai, our restaurants, we had a lot of influencers. We had all these people coming in. We could see people queuing up to them, for their like for a selfie with them, for their autographs, or selfies rather. Autographs don't exist anymore. So that's when I thought, okay, these people have an audience, and this is what I would love to do, and I like to follow up on my passion. So and that is why I've kept my genres very open. It's not like I've restricted myself to a certain genre. I have entertainment, I have sports people, sportsmen, politics. I want to keep my options open. So and I'm sure there'll be lots of people with lots of stories to say. There's no dearth of people with success or impactful stories. And now I have a company in Dubai, a startup company who's incubate. I'm a part of their incubators. First, I'm an incubatee in that company in their first cohort. So I'm also getting a lot of contacts that way.
Oh, okay.
So for now, I'm not thinking about what I'll do 10 years down the lane. I'm absolutely just enjoying what I'm doing, alhamdulillah. And I'm just letting it grow, let it see where it leads me
in its own pace.
Let it take its own pace. And like I said, I'm sure there's definitely so many more impactful people that I can always speak to. There's no dearth of them. People are coming. People people are getting
people
successful.
Definitely have stories.
People have definitely have stories, and if I can bring those stories out, and I form such beautiful relationships with the people I speak to. Like Khadija is such a sweetheart; she's a very good friend now, and Anirudh is also like a lovely person to know. And I'm just enjoying the journey. I'm meeting more people. I'm talking. I'm just following my passion. And at the moment, I'm just sitting back and enjoying what I'm doing. Let's see, inshallah, where this takes me.
Inshallah.
Yeah, it's a long road.
Yeah, it is. It seems like a very long road, and I wish you it's a beautiful a flourishing road.
I mean to that.
Okay. For Tazleena also, I have a question that I've been thinking. Being in a consultancy field, one thing our clients come up with, the problem of pricing. So any product, they have this issue with pricing. Is it the right amount, or are we covering the cost? So we have a technical side of doing it. So how was it for you to price your book? Because I've heard from a lot of people, especially in literature and art field, they say that people question the price. They ask you, why do you have to price it though, that big? And so how was that stage for you? Did you find it really troublesome to price your this, or did you take any professional help for that? How was it?
See, for me, I believe that it's a work of passion, and I'm not out there to sell it. That's not my main motive. My main motive is writing and giving back to the society. It's a way of giving back to the society. So in future also, I would like to write more meaningful books. So when you have that kind of aim, I don't think price matters much. But yeah, if it comes in, then it's definitely an advantage. That's the
okay. For
that's
now,
an add-on, right?
For
If
now,
it works, if you make money out of
pricing
it, well, very good. Why not? Exactly.
Okay, so
And
your
make it just added
perspective
benefit.
becomes like that, yeah. Especially in art field, I find that very troublesome because people take it as a business and they get questioned for every little price they put. But in your case, it's more of a passion, and you're okay with the price. So definitely, that's fine. And yeah, how
So
was okay?
what I'm trying to say is that because of that, it was easy for me to,
Yes.
just put a basic price, which, a new author would put for their book. So
Okay.
that,
Maybe in future you would think strategy. I wish you write so much books that you start thinking about strategy and business consultancy.
thank you.
Thereby sucking out the passion of her.
No. Let her passion grow with it. We don't want it to stop. And okay.
Today,
So
and strategy are, very important. So yeah, let me
yeah. How was that marketing part for you? Because I find, new authors also, finding trouble with that because we have to speak about ourselves, put about, our own reviews. And does that, feel guilty? Do you feel guilty about it? Or do you really enjoy it? Or again, marketing, did you ever wanted to know, what is the real strategy behind marketing? And because we are in this field, we know the complication behind it. Maybe people who are not into this, knowing marketing or pricing things, they'll never understand. Even me, it was for me, when I came to know what is marketing and the effort behind it, then it was a spark, when we think for our clients like that. So it was a moment when I realized, well, this is a big effort. It's not just an advertisement just put up there. It's that's not marketing. So how was that marketing part of your book, Newland?
I am very bad at marketing.
Okay. Okay.
I can't go on and on about something that I've done.
Yeah, I've noticed that in your case. Maybe that's why I had this question because I have connected with some new authors, and what I see in usual profile is not seen in yours. So I wanted to know, have you had some professional help for marketing, and that you have just left it? You're not very keen into putting up things and marketing it.
I like to think that the work, speaks for itself. So that was, I know that, because after I wrote my first book, I realized I understood the importance of marketing. So,
Yeah, that's how it happens. Again, I wish you write more books and you think about it.
So for my next books, inshallah, I will hire a professional because I'm not good at it.
You've realized that you're not good at it. That's very honest. Thank you for that, insight. So with that, I think we can come to a beautiful conclusion to this gorgeous conversation. We've been able to connect with each other a lot, and it doesn't seem like we are not, known like a few days back because a lot of things we were in the same boat, but we had different experience from different field. We have one in podcasting media, one in writing literature, and me in profession. And we share a lot of similarities, and maybe we'll have more challenges coming in our way, and we can just hope for our best, and hope things fall in place and keep putting our effort. So on this celebrating Women's Day, I wish both of you and all our listeners a very, very happy Women's Day, and let this empower us. And it is often said, when you're benchmarking this achievement, it's not a rocket science. People say that. We have all heard it. And now very recently we have witnessed the calm, the composure, the optimism, and the stoic demeanor of the lead scientist handling the hope as she led the actual rocket science. So none other than Sarah Almairi has definitely taught us we can break the glass ceiling if we have the grit and determination. So that was such a learning and such soothing experience for all of us ladies. And let that stay as a reminder to myself first, and all the listeners of our beautiful conversation, and everybody watching us. So on that note, MS Accounting and Tax Consultancy is thanking the two superwomen who shared with us your insights and taking us through womanhood, and being a part of MSATC or MS Accounting and Tax Consultancy as we celebrate this week for women. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Nabila. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I wish you so much more success. I commend you on what you're doing. I wish you all the best, and let's definitely keep in touch.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
for having us here and for giving us this opportunity. And I feel this is also kind of motivation for us also. We keep going and
yes.